Hey all, it's early in the morning, and I decided to do a video. I hope it's like bright enough, cause there's not a lot of light, and you know, here we are. I was thinking there's not really a lot of lightheartedness in this world right now. So, you know, oh, so I'm gonna have my coffee, my morning coffee with you guys. I'm gonna, good morning. It's coffee. It's the nectar of life. It's the nectar of life. Enjoy it. I do. Anyway, so I don't know if you guys can kind of see my walls, and they have all these like papers written on there. I watched this thing about the rice experiment, and what it stated. Now it's a water experiment too. It's like our words, the power of life and death are in the tongue, right? So, yeah, not like the Illuminati. Not that. That's the tongue. All right. Power of life and death are in the tongue, right? So there was this experiment, and I forget the guy. He was like a Chinese or Japanese scientist, I think. And I learned about this years ago, but it's about vibration. It's about the power of life and death in the tongue, and really, it was profound. Like, he took this water, or this snowflake, no, water. I think it was water, and based on the words that was spoken to the water is based on how the water formed, right? So if the word hate was used, just the word hate, that's simple, guys. It wasn't like how, if he said it loud or quiet, if he said it, with a harsh tone or an angry tone, just the word hate alone caused the water molecules to get all messed up. So the thing is that I got all these things written down. And what I decided, because I lived in an environment. Now, my environment is not greater than the love that is inside of me, because there's this word in the Bible too. He who is in me has overcome the world, so he who is in me is greater than the world around me. And that is true. Now, the environments I go to are not greater than the love that is inside of me. This is true. It's truth. It's a higher truth. With that said, if I spent 20 years in an environment that was sick, and then went into a clean environment, love, it would take some time to heal that. It wouldn't probably be instant. There's things that have happened instantly in my life, okay? I was a drug addict for about 5 years, 6 years, really bad. I have no cravings. Straight up, guys, absolutely no cravings. which is freaking amazing, right? So I have no cravings to drugs. And I was a drug addict for like 5 years straight, solid. And then for about 2 more years, it was like from 19 to about 25, wrecked all my family relations, did a lot of drugs, and wrecked my consciousness, my soul. Probably died a couple times and still lived. There were times, I swear to you, I was laying there in people's homes, and I was so drugged out and on so many drugs that I laid there. I mean, there was one time, I didn't even know I was going to talk, but I'm going to get lighthearted here. This is like deep, but there was one time I had done K, Special K, I had done weed. I haven't told this story in so freaking long, man, but I'm going to tell it. So, I had drank alcohol, probably, like, I think almost equivalent to a 6-pack. I'd done K. I was smoking weed. I probably did a handful of about 20 downers and phenobarbital and some barbiturates and some like Vicodin and alcohol and K and weed, and it was quite the mixture, It really was. And I remember laying there and I was like, I might die. And it wasn't just the K. I was going, I might die. I've done enough to my body, and I'm laying there and I can't walk straight. The world was going tipsy-turvy when I was trying to walk, and I laid in this dude's house. And as I laid in that dude's house, I listened to this album called Degradation Trip by Jerry Cantrell, who wrote it for Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, because I was like a major Alice in Chains fan. Like, I still like Alice in Chains and rock and all that stuff, man. I like, all the stuff to recover. One of my favorite bands is Stavesacre, which most of you probably never heard of in your life. So, anyway, I laid there and I listened to Degradation Trip as I was completely out of my mind, out of my being, and ready to die. I was like, I'm going to see God and die. And I don't know what happened, but I woke up the next day. I pretty much listened to the whole album. I don't know how that happened either, and I just laid there. And I woke up the next day and I was like, dude, my goodness, man, how? Well, there were other experiences like that in my life, but what I'm getting at is environment, guys. Now, like I said, if you're, I don't make excuses. I think God can miraculously heal absolutely everything in my life instantly, remove all the fear, all the hate, completely restore love to my body and my soul, and make everything okay. Okay? I believe the healer of all healers wants to come in and restore all the damage from drugs and alcohol and the time that I was on the streets. With that said, I've lived in a type of nightmare in my thought process and lived in my own hell. So, anyway, I have sat here, this environment, and I had a really rough time the first couple months. I'd wake up and I'd scream because my environment was very dark. Now, that means the light gets brighter and brighter each day. And darkness goes away and gets exposed for what it is: deceit, illusions, fears, all kinds of stuff, And what I did, and you can see those notes, I took the rice experiment to extreme, and I was like, I'm going to write all these beautiful things about me, about my walls, about my life, and I'm going to put it on my walls, and I'm going to let it sit there for like 2 to 3 months and see how it changes first the way I see my environment, but also how I see myself and see my environment, my internal temple, which is my physical body, right? My spirit's greater than my body. So my physical body is my temple, right? And so my environment has a lot of like amazing things written in it now. Now, what's outside of me is not greater, once again, to what's inside of me. So, with that said, I was thinking about how also like I'm thinking of I had this little thing in my head about something lighthearted too, because I just went really into the depths. So let's make it like go to more a lighthearted plane. There's the wisdom, okay, but in the lightheartedness of our lives, I like to do the spoken word thing, and I would consider myself like a wordsmith, man. You got blacksmiths back in the day, and I'm an artist, so the wordsmith takes ideas and concepts and lays them out on the table so you're able to understand some concept in your mind that's somewhere in behind the subconscious with the oceans of time. Because it's about time we wake up to our mind's eye and get it single on the one who wants to mingle all humanity back to his heart. And that's where you start, is right here. So don't fear, because love wins in the end, and you will see that your value is greater to he that is in me and you. So what I see isn't based on the peripheral, but based on the infinite soul. So here you go. Demon mind won't win this time, because it falls as the cabal is exposed, and we unite with the heavenly host. So see what's within, and don't think about sin, because God's love is greater within. You're made from a being that is one. So get atonement in yourself, son. So love wins in the end. With the subconscious mind, that's where it begins. Make your environment start with a spark that is divine this time. So heal and see, and don't eat from the tree of darkness, but see that love will get you through. God's love is greater than anything in this world, guys. I'm telling you, God's real. Listen. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. There's mind control, there's AI, there's all the religion of man that is spewed on the TV. There's also what humanity is called the New Age movement. Okay? I use that term really loosely, but I will tell you this. You came from somewhere. You're not just some ethereal bodies flying around in ocean space world. And there are spiritual realities that exist. And the thing is this. You can judge rightly. Judgment is like this no word these days. I notice it's crazy, man. If you have truth grounded in your heart and you speak from love to people, your judgment is right. And what I mean is this. Your judgment is already settled in Him. So if you speak from the judgment of God on your life, then you aren't judging people based on human standards. The judgment of God doesn't see it the way the judgment of man sees it. Okay? Judgment's, like I said, a no word these days. I notice it, and nobody wants to be judged, man. Nobody wants judgment. No. Listen. There's the judges of man, and then there's the judges of God. And the judgment of God. Okay? The judgment of God, when your mind and thoughts and feelings align with that, the judgment of God was in Christ, okay? In the cross of Christ. The judgment was final, all right? So the judgment is right and true. What is that judgment? It's not judgment against who you are. It is judgment for you to be a redeemed child of the living God. It's a judgment to be a redeemed son or daughter, to become the beloved of the one who has always loved you before time began, before this thing started. I don't know how long humanity's been here, guys. That they could have been here 50,000. I know all the evidence. I've looked into all that stuff. If it's been 50,000 years, that's fine with me. If humanity has been here for 50,000 years and we've had the flood and the earth resetting several times, and then the last flood that happened was Noah's flood, and then God said, I won't do this anymore, then cool. But we got to understand something. The Spirit of Christ is about the restoration of, first, your thought process, to be in alignment with the one true living one, so that you recognize that you're one with all that is. There's a real popular, this goes back to Judgment too, but there's this real popular thought process that I see that it says, well, we don't need God. God's a very loose term, man. I use that term very loosely. I don't say, well, God's like this, and God's like that, and God's like this. Here's what I know. God is love. Let's leave it at that. God is love, and God is light, and in God there is no darkness at all. At all. So, who is God? Jesus Christ. Yeshua. I don't know how to say his name in the Jews. But the thing is like, if you come from God's judgment towards people, that means you're coming from a judgment of mercy and grace and a judgment of reconciliation. His judgment is that he desires your reconciliation to him. That you're in his love dream, that you are his and you are one with him, and that he is the one that has always been, that has always known humanity, that has always been, and you were birthed from that being. So you got to recognize, man, like I've heard so many philosophies and so many belief systems. I don't like to argue with people. I've gotten into it so many times. But I said it to this other guy the other day. If a child can't understand what you're talking about, then you've got to get your head straight. Okay? Like, I'm not very, like, I'm straightforward and I'm bold. But if a child cannot understand what you're talking about, then get your head straight and discover truth. Because truth will set you free from all the deceit. And there's deceit in this world, and it's massive. But the biggest deceit that I would say that I lived in was that God isn't with me, because I had all these different conscious realities that tried to tell me a lot of different things. That my biggest deceit in my life was that God didn't love me. That is it. And because I believed that in the very core of my heart and being, I lived my life in condemnation, shame, guilt, and a bunch of drugged out mess in my head. So, I lived in anger, I lived in fear, I lived in hatred. I lived I was merciless in the way I was with people and with myself. I had no mercy for me because I screwed up so bad. So how could anybody have love or mercy for what I've done? I will tell you this, I've encountered the real God, man. And his name is Jesus Christ. He has absolutely no judgment on humanity outside of his love for us. He's the real God. And that draws a line for a lot of people. And I've been through all the religious stuff, man. It does draw a line. Because once you say Jesus Christ is God, now everything has to align with that truth and reality. Once you've spoken that as a human being and accepted that that's reality, now you've drawn a line in the sand. And you said, I'm over here, I'm not over here anymore. Jesus Christ isn't a theology to me, guys. He's not some ethereal, like by and by. He's a real human being who cares about each one of us individually for who we are. And he wants to reconcile us out of our hells that we've created here. There's a verse that says we are enemies of God in our minds. Okay? That is wild if you think about it. So our thinking has separated our understanding of who God is inside of each one of us. It's really like I said, you draw a line in the sand when you say Jesus Christ is God for people. Because that means there's two choices. You either accept that as truth or you don't. That does not mean I judge you if you don't accept that as truth. It means that now you have a decision or a choice to say that's true or not. That's simple. That's why I say, if a child can't grasp your understanding of life or reality, then you got to get your head straight. And that's what happened to me. I've had to get this straight, guys, because it was a mess. It was a freaking mess up here. And it is getting aligned with real love. And I will tell you, once again, Jesus Christ is God and he is real love. He's real love, guys. His love is real. He's not a myth. He's not a make-believe, like, made-up thing. He's not a make-believe person. He's not a make-believe identity. He's not a hallucination. He's not a like, make-believe reality. He's not some little thing dancing in my head like a little monkey going, oh! Okay, I got that picture right now. It doesn't matter. And I only speak this because the thing is this is what I hear all the time when I write or what I say or people that I've listened to. So I like to lay this out as a foundation more and more to understand, to give you guys understanding. I live this. I live this every day. When I go outside of my home, my determination in my heart is who am I going to touch with love? Not who am I going to convert to Christianity, not who am I going to make believe in Jesus Christ, not who am I going to touch so I feel good about myself. Not who am I going to make believe what I believe. Not even who am I going to get people to go to heaven. I don't even think that way. I literally go outside of my home and in my heart is determined. Who am I going to see touched by love today? That's it. There's no strings attached. There's no, if I tell you about God and I pray for you and you get healed, you better believe what I believe and pray a prayer. I don't care. I see healings and miracles every day, just about, guys. Every single day. And I see some funny stuff too, like, but I've seen healings and miracles almost every day for the last couple months. And I was in a bad way, guys. So his love is determined to love people. Sometimes I don't. And that's why I go, hey, I've seen things that have determined, that have made me recognize that this thing is real. It is built in me, something that cannot change. They are fixed things. So I don't like to argue with people. And I don't like to mince words. But how I convey that to people, the only way to convey any of this is to love people, guys. You followed me on here. If you're my followers on here and my subscribers, I'm really happy about that. I'm glad, and I've met one of you guys in Ohio. I hope you guys, I'm going to shout out to you guys. I hope you guys are doing really well. When I met you in Ohio, I was in a bad way. I hope you watch this video. You guys really were kind to my heart, and I was in a really bad way in Ohio at that time. So thank you for your love and your care and your generosity, and you guys just listening to me. You guys are awesome. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're navigating and getting through this, because the love of God is real, and I hope it just touches you through this video, and you guys know that it's going to be okay. It's the weirdest thing. Like, despite all the craziness, I know that there's some things that are just going to be okay. I just know it. I just know there's certain things in this world, it's going to be okay. There's certain other things, it's going to be okay for a lot of us. There's some other people it ain't going to be okay for. But for a lot of us, it's actually going to be okay. It's really, we're going to get through this. This is just growing pains, guys. This is growing pains. It's hurt. It sucks sometimes. But this is growing pains for all humanity to grow up and heal the earth. We've done a lot of damage to her. And so she ain't happy. All right? Mama ain't happy. I heard it a long time ago. If mama ain't happy, the house ain't happy. Now, I can think about it a little bit differently these days, but like our Mama Earth, she's really hoping we wake up really soon and start going, that trash that you see on the streets, we got to stop that. I know it's like a small little thing, but it's not small. That builds. We think just tossing our cigarette butts, whatever. I smoked, man. And eventually, I just didn't even... I'd put all my cigarette butts in my pocket and I'd throw it out in a trash can. You might think, hey, it's the little things, man. I didn't even know I'd talk about all this stuff. But I hope that you guys have a blessed day, and I hope life is good for each one of you today, man. I really do these videos to edify at this point, because I was in it, like I said, you look at my journey, man. I went through the Mandela effect. I went through all of it. You look at my walk from the beginning, the very first video, to now. It is a testimony or a story of God's life inside of me, being reborn and healing my soul. Okay? I can't stand religion. I will just straight up tell you that, guys. Religion drives me nuts. And I think I drive them nuts too. That's okay. But it drives me nuts. And there's still, things that I'm healing from. But religion drives me nuts, man. I can't stand it. I think that it is the most binding thought process to people. And it just weighs people's bodies down and puts unnecessary burdens and hoops. You have to jump through so many hoops to get their approval, to do what they want, so that they care about you. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with going to a church. I sometimes still do. But honestly, like, if you've ever been in a church and you got burnt, or you felt hurt by the people and you left, and then you determined the way you believe because you went to church and then you left and said it's just all mind control and I'm awake now. I've seen that too in this world. That's not awake. All that is an awareness that people in churches and religion is man-made. That's all it is. It's not awake. It's not. I've heard it. I've ran into people like that. It's not being awake to recognize that mind control is in churches. That's not awake. That's just recognizing that's in some churches. That's in some religious structures. Being awake, I believe. This is a belief. This is a knowing, actually. I would say it's more of a knowing inside. Being awake is knowing who you are inside out. That's being awake. Being awake isn't being aware of how screwed up our world is. Being awake isn't like being aware of all the mind control in the world. Being awake isn't being aware of all the satanic agendas. Being awake isn't being aware of lizards and the Illuminati and any of that. Being awake is knowing who you really are. That's being awake. That's coming to me right now, so that's kind of cool. Being awake is knowing who you really are from the inside out. Being awake has nothing to do with the outside world. It has nothing to do with the cabal. It has nothing to do with the Illuminati. It has nothing to do with lizards and greys and the military agenda. And the military's doing some really good stuff for us, guys. The military, a lot of people in the military are really for humanity right now. So be encouraged with that. a lot of people in churches are for humanity right now. A lot of people who are working in the world of science are for humanity, and some are tricked into doing some things we should not be doing. Anyway, that's for another time. I need to stop. Get back on this. Knowing who you are is truly being awake. That's all I have to say about that. All right. And I believe in knowing who Christ is, you'll know who you are. Okay? So, first, Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He reveals who you are, and knowing him means you know yourself really well. And that goes back to the Matrix, know thyself, right? So when you know yourself, you're set free from the Matrix too. There you go, guys. Okay. With all that, I didn't even know I'd go so long. I've been awake since like 6. This is crazy. Okay, I don't even like do these videos all the time, but I guess I was awake and I was like, it's time to do a video. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Alright guys, I love you guys. Be encouraged. Keep going. Fight the good fight. Don't quit. Don't ever stop. Just keep going, guys. I'm gonna keep going, and if I meet any of you guys on my journey, because I'm gonna be going to Michigan, I think pretty soon. I'm not sure. If any of you guys who watch me are from Michigan, I will be heading out there in a couple, maybe in about a month, maybe sooner. I'm not sure. Anyway, I love you guys. Peace. I'm out. You guys are awesome. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Peace.